better me for a better you. Well, welcome back to session 10 of A Better Me. I trust that you are so far enjoying, what you hear and that your book is helping you as well. Because remember, I'm not reading the book to you here, I'm just helping you to understand it a little bit more clearly. So I want to encourage you again to see that you get your book from me. Email me. The email will be available to you now, and I will communicate with you so that we can see that you get a book either in PDF format or a hard copy of it. Believe me, you need the book as well. You can't just listen to this without the book. The two will, the book and what you hear here will complement what you learn. All right. So in the previous session we were looking at, we started looking at internal unconscious components that subtly influence our external behavior. So we're looking at, why do people believe what they believe, behave the way that they behave. So in this session, I want to continue, and I'm going to talk to you about the power of perception. Perception. Let's look firstly at what is perception. Now, in the book, I've written this as well. The Oxford Dictionary describes perception as the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. All right? So you formed a perception. It's a window almost, or glasses that you look through. It refers to the way that something is understood or interpreted. All right? So now you form something that they call a perception. That is now your understanding of something. All right? So in simple terms, perception shapes how we interpret reality. With other words, your daily life, what happens to you. We all have perception, all right? So it becomes the lens through which we determine what is right or wrong, good or bad, acceptable or unacceptable, and ultimately forms the basis of our personal value system, all right? And it is connected to how we've been raised, and the expectations and the rules and the values that we have formed. Those patterns, behavior patterns, reaction patterns, and interpreting patterns. All right, so this is now perception. We all have perceptions about something. Now, a perception means it is your interpretation. It's not necessarily the truth, but it is your truth, and this is important. There's a difference between, ultimate truth and your truth. We all have certain truths, things that we believe, that we expect, and that we trust in, but it does not mean that it is the truth. And this is where many of us make the mistake, because it is our personal value systems. That means your truth and my truth that clash. That's where arguments come from, and even wars have been fought over that. Divorces happen because of that. All right, so where do perceptions come from? And I'm just going to put it plainly out there. It is, perceptions are being formed since the day that you were born. And, it started, it's, through the family and through your ethos that you come from. But there's also, other factors that contribute to our developing perceptions, all right? Like, firstly, the family structures and dynamics. But here's the wider circle of influence that help you form perceptions is your religious institution, or your belief, your religious belief, because a child that are raised as a Muslim have different beliefs and perception of the world than, for instance, a Christian child, or whatever religion you might believe. Then there's also cultural norms. The culture that you come from. There's the Asian cultures, black cultures, white cultures. We have different ways that we speak in their house, and how we speak about other cultures, and we form perceptions about things, and which might not be true. And this is the same. No, let me rather move on to the next one. Even your education and schooling. Where were you educated? Where did you go to school? What is your educational background as well? What have you been learning? And that forms your perceptions about things. Your siblings, your peers, your friendships, the people, with other words, that you fellowship with, that you mix with, that you like to be around with. You're like even in sporting teams and sporting clubs and all those things, media, movies, and social platforms these days. They all help you to form your perspective or perception about things. What is your perception about women? What is your perception about men? What is your perception about the religion? It helps us to form. Eventually you come to a conclusion, and that is a perception. All right. So why are perceptions so powerful? Why? Because they are very powerful, and this is, people can become very rigid and very closed and very defensive of what they believe, and it's a very powerful thing. And why are they so powerful? Well, firstly, is because perceptions are not something that have been formed like overnight. We form perceptions over a long period of time, through your early development, and hearing something many times, seeing something many times, and it often, what you believe or your perception that you have formed, they often come through trusted figures like parents and teachers and preachers and spiritual leaders, and and because they come from these authoritative figures, it's not always questioned, because it comes from an authoritative figure. You believe what they say is true. And here's the thing, we accept that as truth without challenging it. So we just accept it, okay? Because it comes from that person, it must be the truth, all right? And again, I'm going to use, if somebody has been raised come from a Christian home, it is something that's not challenged. You just believe it. That's how you were raised. That's what we say. That's what we did in our family. That is how we have been raised. And somebody that comes from another religion, they might find whatever their Bible or their Quran or whatever might be, they might believe that as the truth, and they form their perceptions from that. All right, and all these perceptions, they influences every aspect of our lives. And remember, this is subtly. You don't believe it, but it's subtly. It forms your moral view about life, and it forms, directs rather is the word, our choices that we make, and then how we relate to other people as well, and that's why perceptions are very, very powerful. I always say it's like glasses, your perceptions, because when you put on this glass, it influences everything that you look through these glasses. It makes it more clearer to you, and so that you can form your opinion. All right. So, but when it comes to relationships, and I'm talking the one-to-one relationships, you need to understand. We always say that, all of us, we bring baggage into a relationship, and then sometimes I jokingly say, some people bring baggage and other people brings cargo into relationships, and but we all bring these things into relationship. And here's the thing: when you have two people with two different value systems, these perceptions, right? Conflict is inevitable, and in most cases, we might have agreement about most of the things. But then, once you are in a tight relationship, you might realize that, there's some things that you don't agree on. And that's when the conflict happens. And when two people with differing value systems, interact with one another, then conflict is inevitable, because now it's about your truth versus the other person's truth, and not the truth. Because it's all about your perception, because remember, your truth is formed by how you see things, your interpretation, your perspective, or your interpretation of it, and the other person. So it's not really about what is the truth, but what do you believe and what do I believe. So again, the remedy there is to be willing to look at your own belief critically, and then together look for what is the whole truth about the subject matter that you are having conflict about. All right, so then I also gave you on page 33, I gave you some practical tests for revealing perceptions. How do you do that? And it's an interesting exercise just to do in a family as well, or between friends. It can be fun, and it can also be problematic. So first, what you do is you choose like four values, and like, love, discipline, obedience, and honor. I'm just giving an example there. Then you ask, secondly, each person to independently write down their understanding or their definition of each of these values. And you might even find, in a specific family group, that this is very significant. And once they have you have all done that, you have them read their definitions aloud, and and you're gonna find that you'll see a lot of difference there, and these differences are all based on their perception, because remember, we're talking about perception. It will reveal your perception, and remember, it's your perception, it's not necessarily the truth about that specific subject. What is your perception about love? What is love? You might see that somebody says, my perception of love is, somebody that hugs me, or somebody that talks nicely to me, or somebody that gives me gifts, and they might differ in that, and it's their perception. But here's the thing: what is the real truth about what is love? Discipline, for instance. What is discipline? What is, obedience and honor? Okay, so that's a nice practical test that you can do. All right, so navigating relationship conflict through perception awareness. Now, how do we do this? And this is important. You need to, because here's the thing: when we deal with other people, you always have to keep in mind, why they react the way that they do, and you got to be aware that there was something that shaped their internal framework, and when you understand that, and you also understand your own framework, your own value system, then there will be a little bit more understanding from your side. So you always have to think these things. What might this person's perception be? And if you work in yourself, what is your perception about certain things? Is it right or wrong? What shaped it? And can I approach this interaction with understanding instead of opposition? Because when you understand, where we use the common language of, you need to understand where they come from. What does it mean? Where do they come from? It means, what is their drivers? These hidden drivers, the value system that drive them. What is their perception? What shaped their perception? And now listen to this. While awareness, won't solve every conflict, it at least creates a platform for empathy and understanding and truth-seeking instead of fighting over two different truths, all right? Because we all have this inner law. So let's look at understanding the inner law that really governs our reactions, in the relationships and in this life. Because each one of our lives, we have an invisible set of internalized expectations, or call it an inner law. We have an inner law that nobody should violate, and then there's problems. So, and these three is what we want, what we avoid, and what we believe we must have in order to feel okay. So, what do you want to feel okay? What do you avoid to feel okay? And what do you believe that you must have to feel okay? All right, so our inner law is, with other words, what we want, what we avoid, and what we believe we must have, are shaped by our perceptions, our unresolved historical issues that we looked at, and something that we will still look at is unspoken expectations. All right? So to identify your personal inner law, answer this question. And this is very, very important. You need to be brutally honest to yourself here. And you write the sentence, I will be happy when /if ... What do you fill in there? So you will be happy when or if, fill it in. And that will help you to see what is your inner law. What is it that you want? What is it that you're trying to avoid? And what is it that you believe that you must have to be okay? All right. So many people, I've had people who say, I will be happy when there is peace in the world, or peace in my life, or when I can just have peace. Here's the thing, and while that sounds very noble, it actually reveals a deeper issue, So you will do anything to attempt to gain internal peace by controlling external circumstances. All right? So here's the trap of external control. And that's when you become what they call a control freak. While external peace may bring temporary comfort, it cannot resolve internal turmoil. And when that happens, you will see something like people pleasing in order to avoid confrontation. You will see avoiding truth in order to preserve external harmony, you think. You'll hear things like, just leave it, it will blow over, it will, just go away. Controlling others to maintain emotional stability for yourself. And this is draining and unsustainable. It cannot be. So the root problem here is misplaced perceptions and unresolved issues that we have looked at. And you can go in the book for more information about that. So how do we break free from this? How do we address, this law that are, and remember, this is subtly, it's not consciously, that are governing your life. And you're gonna dismantle, need to dismantle unhealthy inner laws. Ask yourself these questions. What perception is this law based on? What is your perception? What is this law based on in your life? And then you need to compare what you believe with actual truth. Is it grounded, in reality, or is it grounded in fear or low self-esteem or these things? What unresolved historical issue may be influencing this law? As I again said, So ask yourself, if this law is violated, for you or in your life, how do you feel about it? How does that make you feel? Are you afraid? Will you be happy? Whatever. So these questions may help you to trace the origin of your behavior to a past experience, and to know how to confront, and heal from these issues. All right. Seek knowledge, and because remember, growth always starts with knowledge. All right. So here's an important reminder: awareness is not the end goal. Just to become aware of these things is not the end goal. And you got to deal with it. You must take intentional action to confront, challenge, and replace them with the real truth, or with the authentic or ultimate truth, and not harbor your own truth alone, because then you're never gonna have peace, all right, in your life. And this is what dealing with unresolved historical issues will do for you. It will help you to challenge your own value system, reveal to you your perceptions, so that you can know why do you have these things in your life, and why are you so unhappy when these things are violated in your life. And it will make you a more tolerable person, who will have more sympathy and empathy, and with other people, and together you can look for the real truth. All right. So don't let truth and not perception lead your life. Amen. So let truth and not perception lead your life. All right. So that's the end then of unresolved historical issues, and we form our value systems, inner systems on that. And next time when you come back, we will start to look at the influence and the role of temperaments, the influence of temperaments on our lives and how we handle life. All right, so again, I want to end by encouraging you to buy and get your Better Me book. And, it's something that you should have on your shelf. And these videos are always available for your benefit. All right, so thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.